Welcome to episode 432 of Salcedo Paranormal, and tonight I'll be talking about haunted hospitals. As always, you can find all episodes of the show along with links to social media and other ways to contact me at the podcast page, and that is salcedoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions or stories of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. Thank you all for listening, whether you are here for the live streams on Discord or you listen on the podcast or YouTube feeds, or if you listen on the Troubled Minds radio network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. There you can hear replays of the show, 2 of them, every night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right before Troubled Minds Radio comes on. And I want to thank Michael Strange, host of Troubled Minds Radio, and Liam Martin, host of the Exiled Minds podcast, for producing the show and putting it on the network as you hear it. There are a few different ways to support the show if you find value in it. You can always share the show with others, rate or review the show on your podcast platform of choice. And then also, if you'd like to check out some fiction and nonfiction paranormal books I've written, you can find those on Amazon. And then I also have a couple of direct donation links to PayPal and Venmo. And I have just started recently a Patreon page as well. And I finally have my first post up there on that. And the first content for that will be dropping first thing in August. So there will be one extra True Paranormal Stories from the Web episode of the show that is Patreon exclusive once a month over there. And it doesn't matter which of the tiers you sign up for, it will be available to all 4 of those tiers there. So all support is appreciated, never expected, but there are expenses in creating the show, in the research materials and equipment, and also in travel when that is possible. Again, I'm going to the Mid-Michigan Paracon this year, November 4th and 5th. It'll be a Saturday and Sunday. And so I always include the link to that event in the episode description if you want to check it out. And so, of course, there are expenses in attending that as well. I will be going there to basically check it out for the first time. I've never been to a Paracon before. But also see what it's like and report back to you all. And maybe, if possible, even bring back some recordings of some different things, whatever I'm allowed to record. So, but again, if you want to support that, if you don't think you'll be able to make it yourself, but you want to support that and hear more about it, those donation links and the Patreon are ways to do so. I think that's all I have for that. So this topic, it comes up a lot. At least fairly often in the stories I find for the show. These medical facilities that people work at or go to, that there are things that happen there that they can't explain. And some of them are stories of experiences while the places are open, and others are more about experiences in these locations after they've closed down. And so there's a mix of those in the couple of links I have set aside for the show tonight. And so I just wanted to mention it's important that we keep in mind these are places where the point is to try to help people with whatever medical conditions they have, but it doesn't always work out the way we want for various reasons. And of course, throughout time, medical practices have changed. So some of these places, especially the ones that are closed down or even just have long histories, there is a lot there that that is very, very sad, very dark. I won't be going into a lot of that just because I think most people are aware of that. Also, if you really want to get all the details, I will be including the links to the two articles that I'm going to be referring to in the episode description, and those articles do go more into the details of the histories of the locations. And get into all that. I'm mainly going to be focusing on the paranormal aspects, which are definitely, in some cases, definitely seem to be results of some of the tragedies that can happen and that have happened in some of these hospitals. But obviously, they're not all bad. I mean, they bring people to this world in a lot of cases, and they try to make it as comfortable as possible for people when they're leaving the state of being. So, just wanted to sort of put that out there right in front, just so that everyone is aware of how I'm going to approach this episode, and so that you don't think I'm skipping these things because they're not important. It's not that. It's just that try to keep this as a mostly positive show, just because there's enough shows that go into the dark history of places and why there's activity there. And those kinds of shows, when they're done right, I think are just as important. That's just not something I am able to do myself. So, but getting to these articles here, I have found a few, but I have a couple that I'll be referring to tonight. So let me see here. 1 second, gotta get to them. And now one is from a fairly well-known, sort of like a haunted tourism site, but there's another that's from more of a medical-themed website. And this is, of course, let me see here, _nurselabs.com. And this says 13 plus most haunted hospitals and asylums around the world, or in the world. And of course, the asylum, when they're mentioning that, that's more for mental health, for that kind of care. And of course, that didn't always go so well. But anyway, so it does say, let me see here. It does say that there's a warning here, but it's more of a sort of a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing. So this is all about places all around the world. So that's pretty amazing in a way. And it just shows these kinds of places, when they're used for these purposes, that does seem to result in paranormal activity in these locations. So the first on this list is, let's see here. It's called Royal Hope Hospital, and it's in Florida, in the U.S. And this goes back, this is an older hospital. It was a Spanish military hospital from, says, 1784 to 1821. And eventually it was demolished through time, it says. So again, I'm guessing it fell apart over time. There was a replica made of the original hospital that was constructed to, let's see here, constructed to house the victims during, it says, the Seminole War. So that's Native American. But it says that once the city workers were about to repair the water lines and they got to the foundation of the old building, they did find out that the hospital was originally built on what appeared to be an ancient Native American burial ground. So that's sort of compounding the situation. Again, that is a sort of it's really odd. It's a trope that you see in a lot of paranormal movies and TV shows, but it does happen from time to time. I don't know if it's quite as common as the TV shows make it out to be, but I don't know that it's not either. I just know that it's used a lot, and in a lot of your fictional shows, it seems like it's used in a very flippant sort of shock value way, a way to just shock everybody. So people that visit this Spanish military hospital museum, which is where, which is on the site of where this hospital was, say they would hear groans and shouts coming from unoccupied rooms. Again, makes you wonder, is that, hopefully that's residual in a lot of cases. But in addition to that, there were beds that moved apparently all over the place. Says that there were beverage jars that slid across outside seats and other areas. Sounds of marching feet in an unoccupied upstairs part of the building. And so it does seem like then there's apparition sightings as well. So a lot of activity still there. It mentions that paranormal experts once claimed that the place is a real active location. So because of all this history, and so let me see here. It says that these are whenever there's a lot of human feeling and emotion that is there, concentrated in one spot, or in one time, or even across time, that can lead to more activity, and that does make sense in a way. So let's see here. This next one they talk about here is in Canada. It's the Tranquil Sanatorium. Sanatorium. And so this was built in 1907 as a ranch before the owners started caring for tuberculosis patients. And so that's when this small community was built around the location, and became known as Tranquil. So it has gardens, houses, a farm, a fire department, and other facilities. It says in 1958 the hospital closed, but then was reopened the next year to treat the mentally ill. But it says it closed permanently in 1983. Also in this article, it does have pictures, so if you're into checking out images of these locations, you can do that through the links. And also, I forgot to mention, these links and then one other one are also in the Discord server, in the show notes and sources channel. So, mentions that there are spirits that continue to make noises in the location. Says that the years of isolation and sadness seem to have been absorbed into the area, and so every so often people that go there have experiences. So let's see here. It says today there are orbs that are seen floating throughout the area, the facility. Inexplicable feelings of sadness and unease. And again, that's something that I've heard about. I've never really experienced it, but it seems like if it's energy in the air, it seems like it almost be like a type of residual haunting in a way. If these emotions can be imprinted in locations, and if people are sensitive enough, then they can pick up on them. There's dramatic temperature changes. And let's see what else it says. People say there have also been, it says there's also been stories of people hearing mysterious voices and seeing ghostly figures, and including one of a nurse that was there as well. So, so that's that location. We might only get through let's see here. Oh, there's more here. So, oh wait, no, I'm sorry. That was the next one. So there's others in this list here, but I think I'm going to let's see here. I better do one. So this next one is Severalls Hospital. It's spelled like several, but the Severalls Hospital, and that's in England. And this is in, let's see here, Essex in the UK. It was a psychiatric hospital built in 1910. And let's see here. It opened in May 1913 and housed some 2,000 patients. It says that most of the buildings are Queen Anne style, with a few other changes to them. And let's see here. So this is a site with multiple buildings on it. It says this place is fairly well known for being haunted. So let's see here. It closed as a psychiatric hospital in the early 1990s. And let's see here. So there's a small section that remained open after that, though, until 1997 for the treatment of elderly patients as well. But people that have investigated the rest of the location have had experiences. So let's see here. Doesn't really go into the details of what's actually happened there. But I'm guessing if they're saying it was fairly well known for being haunted, then you have your usual mix of things, I would guess. So voices, apparitions, who knows what else. That's kind of an odd one. They didn't really put much in there. But I think I want to switch over to this other article here. And this is from a website that is, again, more of a tourism website here. And this is, let me see here, hauntedrooms.com. And it says, the title says, America's Most Haunted Asylums and Hospitals. So, they start out, this is 10, there's 10 in this article, we'll only get through a couple, I think, a few. This is the first one they mention here is the Old Tuele, Toole Hospital in Utah. So in 1897, this hospital started out, says, as a family house, but then in 1913, it was changed into the hospital. I'm sorry, no, it was changed into a county, or a country. It was changed into a place that was known as the country poorhouse, not the county. And these are locations, from what I've heard over the years, poorhouses are places where people with basically no income would go, along with people with any kind of disabilities also would go there and be sent there. But by 1953, it says the building had changed again to this hospital. And so it says before it was closed down in 2001, the hospital was used for the filming location for Stephen King's The Stand. Now that's a novel that I believe I reviewed before, I think. Maybe not, I have to check on that. But that's basically a novel about this massive disease that goes around the world, and it's sort of a post-apocalyptic kind of a story in a way. But anyway, this Old Tuele Hospital, it says it's been the site of a lot of paranormal activity. There's a former patient that is said to haunt the hospital. Let's see here. And he basically stays in the room where he was admitted when he was there. So it says many other apparitions have been seen, including a young child, and then Samuel F. Lee himself, who was the original owner of the house before it was changed those many times. Now, let me see here. Apparently, there are voices heard there, and so yeah, it's odd. There's another experiences there. So voices and sightings of apparitions. And moving on to, I think we'll have time for one more, or maybe two. This next one is the Alton Mental Health Hospital in Illinois. And it says many people today, including staff, patients, and visitors, have reported hearing unusual noises, including doors randomly slamming shut to whispers that they can't make out. Now, I'm guessing when it says that it's people that work there, so it sounds like this place is still active, which would mean, obviously, you don't want to be going there just to investigate it. So, let's see here. There was a nurse that was on duty and heard someone ask, "Who is that?" So she turned around to respond to this voice and found there was no one there. And no one had been in the building at the time either. I'm guessing it must be a smaller hospital. It says later on that day, the exact same thing happened in the same place to a different nurse. That's pretty amazing. I wonder if that's a residual or someone actually there, whether it's a spirit or it's some kind of a time anomaly where someone from this other time is seeing the nurses of the present and wondering who they are. For all we know, maybe they're even thinking that the nurses are the ghosts. Hard to say whenever it comes to these things that happen. So I think I'll do one more here. It's one I've heard of before. Some of these I've heard of, others, most of them really I haven't. But this one is, this next one is the Danvers State Lunatic Asylum, it says, in Massachusetts. It says it's often referred to today as the Witch's Castle on the Hill. So apparently it just must be well known for being haunted. But also it is connected, that's right, okay. So it was built in 1878 on the site which was originally in Salem Village, which is the first location of the Salem witch trials in, I think they have a typo here. Let me see here. 1762? I'm not sure. I've forgotten the date now. It's either 17 or 18. I'm sorry. I'm terrible with history. But and it says that when it started out, Danvers was well known for modern treatments and great care. But then, of course, once funding started to decrease, that's when things started to turn bad. It says that in between 1940 and 1950, well, it goes into more of the history of the location there. So, but let's see here. As far as today, now the place was closed down in 1992, and also the original building apparently was demolished, but now there's an apartment complex on the site. So that has to be interesting. Even though the constructed was torn down, and then, I mean, even though the asylum was torn down and put on a different location, so apparently there is another location with that same name, but it's not at the same place. There's still activity at the apartment complex. So, sightings of apparitions, full body apparitions, flickering lights, sound of unexplained footsteps, and doors opening and closing. And I am over time. So that's it for today. Just to give you an example of some places. Thank you all for listening, and I'll talk to you all in the next episode of Salcedo Paranormal. Take care.